have goals, and it's time you reached them faster. You have dreams, and it's time you make them a reality. Massive life transformation starts now. It's Tampa Bay's performance power couple, certified coach and performance specialist Dana Medlin, and certified coach and behavior analyst Michael Medlin. Get ready to transform your actions. It's time for the Action Hour.
Welcome to another episode of the Action Hour. I am your host, Dana Medlin, and by my side, as always, is my husband, my partner, my wonderful co-host, Mr. Michael Medlin.
I always get the best intros.
You do. I wish somebody would introduce me like that. What up, Medlin?
I am excited. I mean, it's Wednesday. We're halfway through this week. It's been quite the week.
It has been quite the week, and it's only Wednesday. I got to tell you, I walked into the studio today like, I'm exhausted because the day started with shooting that PSA for scooters, in downtown Tampa, and then all of the coaching sessions, and now here we are. So I want to open the show today by announcing that starting today, we are going to have the phone lines open for the entire show. So if you've got something on your mind, something you want to discuss, or something you just want to share, then give us a call at 888-404-1010. That's 888-404-1010. We're going to be taking your calls during the entire show from now until we're not doing the show. We should have started the show like that months ago.
Callers,
yeah, taking calls. But anyway, we didn't know what we didn't know. But here we are now. So what do you want to talk about today, Medlin?
I mean, throughout this week, I've been listening to a lot more of Dave's, Ramsey's show, and really listen to the callers that have been calling in. It hit me that how much of these people are going through a lot of tough financial times.
Yeah.
And, they've learned from Dave how to, through the baby steps programs and other things that he does, how to fix those financial issues. Mm-hmm. But what has it done to their other aspects of their life?
Right.
What has it done to their marriage, the marital stress, communication breakdowns,
mm-hmm.
The relationship with kids suffer, personal life is less than satisfying.
Absolutely. I think that finances in a relationship, I know firsthand that it can ruin relationships. Like my ex-husband and I, we met at like the height of the real estate boom in the early 2000s. And we're both in real estate. We were both making really good money. I mean, we had a combined household income of over $200,000. So, I mean, we were traveling all over the place. We're shopping, making plans for the future. Then 2008 hits and the bottom fell out. So he lost his job. I couldn't give a house away, So we went from making, $250,000 a year to less than 60. And it was traumatic because even though he and I had both been broke before, like we both came from humble beginnings, but we had never learned how to be broke together. You know what I mean? And that's a whole different beast. We didn't know how to deal with the stress and then with each other. So we argued and we fought and, we blamed each other. We basically just stopped communicating and all we did is fight. So there was no more partnership. We had stopped being partners a long time ago.
It's funny how much easier a marriage is with, lots and lots of money.
With money, it helps.
I completely agree with you because we both had that similarity that ended up happening. We both ended up getting divorced around that time. I mean, into 2007 is when I got divorced, mm-hmm. and that's when the economy crashed. And, my brother was diagnosed with ALS.
Yeah.
I mean, we all start off as friends, and then when finances tighten up, we end up, kind of blaming each other. And instead of working on it together, we spent our time working to get out of the problem, mm-hmm. but we forgot how to be a family. And our relationship suffered, our kids suffered, our personal development suffered. So, that's what I want to talk about today.
Yeah, I guess that's what we're talking about today.
That's the longest answer to the most simple question ever.
Our topic today is money problems. But here's the thing. We've done our homework on this because we've dealt with couples and people in relationships that mm-hmm. were dealing with financial issues. And 21% of all divorces cite financial hardship as one of the key factors that contributed to them ultimately deciding to get a divorce. Money fights are probably, I think it's the second leading cause of divorce.
That's what it said, yeah.
Behind infidelity. Results show that both high levels of debt and a lack of communication, those are the major causes for the stress and anxiety surrounding household finances.
And it's funny because it keeps coming back to those two things.
Yeah.
Debt and lack of communication.
Yep.
As soon as the finances tighten up, we stop talking to each other because
we're feeling it.
Yeah.
You don't know what to say. You're just miserable.
I mean, and so what my question is, that I kind of pose to the people who are listening is, what are you going to invest in when it comes to your marriage and your relationship with your kids and yourself? I mean, when you're financially in trouble, typically a lot of your self-care, a lot of your personal development has to be neglected. I mean, and a lot of times it's out of necessity. I mean, you can't go out and spending money on, all sorts of different things when you're trying to get out of the debt. But you end up putting your dreams on the back burner, and that causes a lot of issues.
Yeah, because when you develop a pattern of self-neglect, that pattern turns into a habit, and now you're stuck in a rut. And before you know it, you can't even remember how you got there, and all you're feeling, or all that you're left feeling, is this despair and being lost because you don't remember where it happened. But it happened the moment you started to neglect yourself.
And it's funny because when I was researching, a lot of the statistics for this show, there was also a correlation between the people who are in debt and weight gain. And a lot of people, because they begin to neglect spending money on going to a gym, they buy the more convenient foods because they're having to work longer hours.
Right.
A lot of people end up gaining weight. Their health suffers during this. So it's a whole cycle that ends up just absolutely, hammering on you. And as you're rebuilding your life and you're fixing your finances, why not put together a plan for all the other aspects of your life?
Yeah.
We lie to ourselves. I mean, we say all the time things like, we're comfortable in this little rut, that we're on, or we don't want to actually go out. We're homebodies, or, we don't want to go to the beach, or we don't want to spend money on this.
Who doesn't want to go to the beach?
Well, people make a lot of excuses because they can't afford it. So they say that they don't want to do it.
Right.
And that ends up making a very comfortable rut.
But that rut leads ultimately to destruction, because if we're talking about the effect that it has on a relationship, then you're fixing your finances, but your relationship is in turmoil, because if you're not giving attention to yourself, you're not giving it to your relationship. Right. So now you have this thing that's broken. And what we've been telling people that we work with, or prospective clients, is why wait until it's broken? If you do constant maintenance on yourself, on your relationship, then you won't it won't ever break if you're constantly and consistently maintaining it. And the thing is, it's not even that expensive. If money is the issue that's leading to relationship deterioration, there are lots of other things that you can do to still, keep the spark of romance alive. Dates don't have to be expensive. Medlin, you and I are the king and queen of cheap dates.
Yes.
Quality time together can be very cheap. You can just sit on the back patio and have a drink together. I mean, that's how we like to Friday,
Absolutely.
Just decompress.
And Wednesday. and the other key that, we were just talking to those clients that they've been listening to Dave, the Baby Step program's working great for them. But, what we kind of talked to them about is also inviting each other into each other's world.
Yeah.
When I got married at 19, my wife and I, we ended up kind of growing apart.
Well, I would never recommend to anybody that they get married at 19. You don't know enough about yourself.
It is more difficult. And, as she learned about her and I learned about me, we just kind of grew in separate, different directions. But by you and I, we invite each other into, our worlds. I mean, when we first got together, for example, I wasn't a big fan of dance and music reality type of shows.
And I love those.
Yes,
that is where I live. And I'm talking about So You Think You Can Dance, because that season just ended. And I like The Four.
Yeah. And we watch them together now.
Yes,
you've taught me about them. I see it in a different sort of way. You started watching soccer, which was, my preferred sport.
Right.
You didn't really care for it, but
I love soccer now, and my son plays soccer because of you. I mean, that's huge.
And so, I mean, if you can't afford, maybe a performance specialist or, there's other ways to invest in your relationship. I mean, we offer programs like 8 Weeks to Performance Parenting.
Yes, Relationship Revolution, which is, what we've been talking about here.
Yeah.
Wake up and live your dreams.
I was about to say it's one of my favorites. People say they wish they understood women, and I'm telling you guys, hey, if you come to Relationship, Revolution, I teach the code. So
the code. What code? Oh, you got a code now? Well, riddle me this, code master.
All right.
How do women feel when there's no financial security? How does it affect their sex life, for example? Because I'm gonna tell you what. I've heard broke don't turn me on,
Yep.
and broke ain't sexy.
Men handle it in two different ways. Either men have more of a drive because they're trying to prove that they're masculine and manly and can take care of you, or men end up feeling like a failure, and many times it actually destroys their confidence.
Well, we're going to continue to talk about this when we come back, but we are taking your calls at 888-404-1010. So call in and share with us. I'm talking success, failures, all those life-changing moments. We're here to talk about it all. When we come back, we'll finish this financial and sex life conversation. But we're also going to share some updates we've gotten from listeners who messaged us from BehaviorSelf, and we'll share some news from our nonprofit partners as well. And who knows where else this conversation is going today. I'm feeling whimsical. So
let's just go.
Let's just go. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Turn heads this summer with the help of Medi Weight Loss. Lose up to 20 pounds the first month with a medically supervised weight loss program that's tailored to meet your specific needs. Their team of trained medical professionals will guide you, ensuring that you lose the weight and keep it off. Get started today. Call 877-MED-LOSS and book your free assessment. That's 877-MED-LOSS. Locations Tampa, Brandon, and Lutz. On average, patients on individualized restricted calorie program lose 6.4 pounds the first week and 14 pounds the first month. Medical supervision required.
Welcome back to the Action Hour. And before the break, we were talking about how financial hardships are the number 2 reason for divorce behind infidelity. And Mr. Medlin over here had just commented about how he has the code.
I got the code. I got you, don't I?
You do indeed. And that took some skill and finagling for sure.
It took just a lot of honesty and a lot of work.
Yeah, that's true. No, if there's one thing we have, Medlin, it's honesty, and I appreciate that. But the end of that conversation, it reminded me of a colleague of mine. He's a coach. He's a fellow coach. And I was speaking with him earlier this week, and he had just broken up with his girlfriend. I guess right before our conversation on Monday, they had just made the decision that he was going to move out of their home and find another place to live. So he was so sad.
It's devastating.
For him, it was because this was the woman he thought he was going to marry, right? This was his forever person. But he was working through the sadness. Like, he was allowing himself to feel the pain and recognizing that this was the present moment, and, and recognizing it for what it was instead of just trying to fight it or hide from it. He was making these conscious and deliberate choices. He was going to spend time with friends. He was going to go hiking the next day. I mean, he was even scheduling time to sleep extra, to read, to really mourn. And I was so surprised by how well he was handling his sorrow. And he's young too. So, I mean, it's not like he's gone through this 100 times and had learned, but it was just, for his age especially, it was just so evolved and mature. And I found myself complimenting him on not being fooled by the fallacy of manliness.
I love that you brought up the fallacy of manliness.
Yes.
It is one of the sections of the relationship revolution that we really go deep on when we talk to men just about what it is to be manly. And there's so many unwritten rules and all this sort of thing, where men aren't supposed to be emotional and feel this and that. And it's honestly, it's the fallacy of manliness which caused me to stop doing relationship type of rescue stuff and move toward relationship revolution.
Yeah.
Why wait for your relationship to get to a point that is so bad that it has to be rescued? Yeah.
When all it takes is maintenance.
Yeah. And that's what he's doing now. He's actually doing the work that will set up his next relationship to be so much better. When I got divorced, I wanted to blame my ex. And that's the easy path.
Yeah. And we've all done it.
Oh, yeah. But then when it wasn't until I started looking inward, and I remembered all the times that I had made excuses. I was coming home and I could have stopped and got flowers. Yeah. But I didn't. I could have done, said the words, but I was too tired. Or I could have gone and helped her. But I justified, I already put in my 60 hours. I'll let her do the housework.
And you thought that was enough.
And I thought it was enough, given married at 19.
Right.
So
you didn't know no better.
And I always would say to myself, doesn't she know that I move heaven and earth for her?
And no, she knows that, but she doesn't. I mean, we don't know what you're willing to do unless you tell us. And it works both ways in that regard. And it's not the moving of the heaven and earth.
Yeah. My only way of knowing what to be a father and a husband was like was to watch my father. Mm-hmm. My father was one of those, killer hardworking guys. I mean, up at 4:00 in the morning, 15 hours later, he would come home. He worked an insane number of, hours. And over the years, I started working 80 hours a week.
Yeah.
Because I thought that's what it was to be a man. Mm-hmm. I wasn't overly emotional. I was, the guy that knocked out the bills.
It's so hard for me to imagine you as not being emotional. Because I love how open you are and just how free you are with your emotions. It's so attractive.
It was that fallacy of manliness.
Mm-hmm.
For me, it was the old saying, I take a bullet for her. Or, I had become what I thought was being a man. I would become John Wayne with a massive work ethic.
Right.
I was going to be a protector. And it was in that fallacy of manliness where I would constantly say, I'm willing to die for them. Mm-hmm. But then I finally got to that point where I began to ask the question, am I willing to live for them?
Yes.
And it's so easy to claim these big, massive things because, seriously, what are the chances that you're actually going to have to die for someone?
Probably it's not very likely.
Right.
Yeah.
And you're not really going to move the stars and heaven and all that. it's noble, but let's be truthful. It's easy to say those things because it doesn't take work.
Right.
And if you're not willing to do the small stuff, you're not willing to, to think about her, to support her, to communicate.
Yeah. It's all of those little things that matter because those are the things we can see. Those are the things we can hear. Those are the things we can feel, right? Because they're actually happening. The notion of moving heaven and earth for me, that's great as a notion, but that doesn't help me feel loved by you in this moment.
Exactly. I mean, real men do get emotional.
Mm-hmm. Or they should.
They do take care of their kids.
Yes.
I mean, you wouldn't believe how much easier my life became because I always thought I had to be Atlas. I had to be able to carry the world for my wife. And true, I mean, I am a protector and I am, a caregiver.
Yes, you are.
But when I was able to open up emotionally, I now had a partner in life who could, in those moments where life is just a little more than I can handle.
I got you.
My wife's got my back. And so that's what I really, really push for in Relationship Revolution.
Yeah.
And one of the, the big keys is
the 5 love languages.
Yeah.
Yes. Learning the 5 love languages really, it not only enabled me to change the way in which I communicate in romantic relationships, even before you and I started dating, Michael, but, even my relationship with my son improved because I understood his love language. So the love languages is not just about romantic love or, that type of partnership love. It's all types of love. It's really a form of communication that helps you understand how someone receives love and how they need to give it. And so the 5 love languages, we've talked about them before, but they are quality time, which is one of mine, words of affirmation, which is another one of mine, physical touch, which is one of yours, acts of service, which I'm pretty sure is my mom, and gifts.
Which is your son.
Which one?
And the thing is, when I was talking about earlier, where I said I have the key, I've got the code that can help you. This is one of them because we come into relationships thinking that we know how to communicate to each other. But the truth is until you actually know how someone feels and receives love. So guys, get this. Take this test. It's very, very short and it's very easy. But once you learn, I mean, if you're out there like killing yourself doing acts of service and you're buying her gifts, and she's not responding because she needs quality time and words of affirmation, then all of your work, you're going to feel frustrated because you're doing the work to try to make the relationship better. It's not getting better, and it's because you're giving her what you think she needs instead of what she really needs.
Exactly. So it's learning to speak someone else's language so that they see you, feel you, hear you, and understand you.
Yes.
Right. It's a very powerful technique, but it works. And we have a lot of techniques in Relationship Revolution.
Yeah,
do you want to go through some of them?
I mean, yeah. I mean, one of the free pieces of advice that I throw out there, if you're not romantic and it doesn't come naturally to you, you have this wonderful cell phone in your pocket.
Yes.
What I did early on is I started just taking my phone and randomly choosing days. And I would put days in there to pick up flowers, days to do certain things that I knew that my wife wanted, a bottle of wine or to, schedule a dinner date. Go ahead and put them into your calendar. If you're not one that remembers things easily, go ahead and use it. She'll think that it's random. And it doesn't matter that it's not, because she still feels it that way. The other thing is use the notes section in your phone. I did this when I was dating Dana. I don't have a great memory for certain things. I can remember a lot of details about a client and all of that, but I'm not going to remember, what bottle of wine you like, because I'm not a wine drinker. I don't eat fish, but you love fish. So I started keeping notes in my phone of all the things that she enjoyed. And that way, in the moment, she would think, oh, he's really listening to me. But the truth is, I kept notes.
Oh, my goodness. So when we were dating, I thought that you were just the king of listening and the king of men, because my favorite bottle of wine would show up. My favorite flowers would show up. My favorite songs, you would send me the YouTube links on my phone. And I was like, oh, my God, how does he know that? How did he remember that that is one of my favorite songs of all time? I didn't find out until we were married that you had a Dana file in your phone. I'm like, what the heck is a Dana file?
And I admit,
and there's my wine, my cheese, my dress size, like my everything.
I admit,
but it works.
When I tell this at every time that we have, the seminar, people kind of look at me like it's a little bit stalkerish. But I mean, seriously, ladies, wives, mothers out there, ask yourself this: would you rather him not do anything for you at all because he doesn't remember, or to create this support structure which helps him to be able to remember, and that way he's still thoughtful?
Yes, because
which would you rather have?
Because at the end of the day, I got all my favorite stuff. Yes. I still get it. And you know what? If I mention something now and I don't see him write it down, I'll repeat it until I see him grab his phone and put the notes in the Dana file, because I am expecting at some random point in the future, I'm going to get this new favorite thing.
You're such a brat.
I am, but I am the spoiled brat you created.
Yes,
so.
it is.
And I wouldn't have it any other way. All right. So let's talk some other techniques that we use in Relationship Revolution. And one of them is to be intentional about spending time talking. And this is so important, because in this day and age, when everybody is hooked up to technology, we are Facebooking messaging and Instagram messaging and sending text messages. The average couple spends about 20 minutes a week talking to each other. Turn off the technology, put the kids to bed, feed the dog and put them in another room, whatever you have to do, but make it a point to spend 20 to 30 minutes a day catching up with each other, connecting with each other.
And while you're connecting, the other thing that we recommend is there has to be a physical connection that goes along with it.
Every man will agree with you, Nick.
Well, all right. Not every connection has to go that way, but I mean, just the physical act of, of a touch of the person that you love has actually been shown to lower blood pressure, and it releases oxytocin, which, we've talked about before. It's a love hormone. It's a bonding agent. And it really goes both ways, because people who give hugs also have a similar physiological reaction to the people that receive them.
Absolutely. I'll tell you what, Michael and I wake up, my alarm goes off before Michael gets up in the morning. But when my alarm goes off, I hit snooze. And so I know that we have 9 minutes. And in that 9 minutes, we do some power cuddling. And I mean, we're not talking. We're barely awake. We usually fall back asleep, but we fall back to sleep in each other's arms. And I'm telling you that there is no better way to start the day than in the arms of someone that loves you and someone that you love. Like, there's no better feeling than that.
And the other thing we do all the time is, we both do a lot of physical work. We're both up and moving and all that. Massaging each other has multiple benefits. One, you're not as sore, your muscles aren't as tight anymore. But again, it releases that bonding agent, and it's a time for you guys to spend together that's quality.
Oh, and it's so therapeutic and beneficial. Try it. Yeah, you can't.
5 or 10 minutes a day, I guarantee it will begin to change the way that you feel about your partner.
Absolutely. So we've got a lot more of these techniques when we come back. We've also got some updates from previous BehaviorSelfs and our nonprofit partners. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
can all admit that adulting can be hard. But don't let stress and personal difficulties keep you from living your best life. At Actions Transform, our behavior coaches can teach you to break unhealthy habits and give you the tools you need to achieve your personal and professional goals. You have everything to gain. Call Actions Transform today at 813-444-2282 or visit us at actionstransform.com. Remember, dreams inspire, but actions transform.
Welcome back to the Action Hour, where we are just winging it today. But I'm enjoying it. It's been really great. So, and we'd love for you to call in and join us. So the phone lines are open. So give us a call at 888-404-1010. 888-404-1010 for Money Talk 1010. All right. So before I get carried away. This is what happens when we don't have an agenda. So before the break, we were talking about some techniques that we use in our Relationship Revolution workshop or seminar. Mm-hmm. And we had just discussed physically connecting with your partner, being intentional about spending time together and using that time for substantive conversation. Another really great technique that we talk about, and this one, again, it's one of those ways in which to communicate, and that is to use more I statements and less you statements.
It's a really good one for arguments.
It really is, because it enables you to lower the defenses of your partner. Your partner no longer feels like they have to defend themselves. For example, I wish you would acknowledge more often how much work I do at home, or I wish that you would help me with the kids, as opposed to you never help me with the kids and you don't do any work, right? Like those are very different ways to start a conversation with your partner.
Right, because you're stating a need instead of making an accusation.
Exactly. You're stating, what do I need? What do I want? Versus what you don't do and what you need to do. Like, absolutely. It's a very different. But
I wish I could see your head when you do that. What you need to
be doing. Right. So another one is to be specific.
Yes.
Yes. When issues arise, it's important to be specific, because broad generalizations, and when I say this because I have been so guilty of this, because I am very dramatic, speaking of head moving and all of that. But I used to say things like, you do this all the time. Every single time I'm doing this, you do that. And it's like, really? All the time? Every single time? Really?
It's honestly like when you have a behavior analyst for a husband, it's like the worst thing you can do.
Because you're there measuring.
Well, I mean, I spent 5 years of my life with clickers on my hip counting, every time a behavior occurred. So, she'll say, you do this every time. And I'm like, no, actually 4 out of the last 10 is when I did it.
And then I get mad because he's keeping track. What do you mean you're counting?
Oh, yeah.
Like, that's ridiculous. Anyway.
Yeah, guys, don't ever say that. It does nothing good for you.
So be specific, because broad generalizations are not helpful.
Yeah. I mean, a better way to say things is like, in the past, I feel that you have.
Right.
If you can give an example, it's even better.
Right.
But, then stop. Let your spouse respond, and because you may feel, a different way, and both are valid. Notice what they said. In the past, I feel. Mm-hmm. If that's the way she feels, that is valid. You're not agreeing with her that is the truth, but you are saying, okay, I understand and I validate what you feel.
I acknowledge that your feelings are valid.
I mean, the key here isn't to win.
Right.
It's to find an understanding.
Exactly. So another really great technique is to avoid mind reading. And what do I mean by that? So it is very frustrating when someone else acts like they know better than you do about what you're really talking about. Well, you said,
you should see the way she's looking at me right now.
You said that I felt this way, and you think this and you think that about me. How do you know what I think? Like, really?
And here's the thing. Even if they've thought that way in the past, your spouse's position may have changed on something. I mean, let their word be their truth.
Yeah, especially in that moment.
Yeah, I mean, if you think you know what your spouse is trying to say, then, ask a clarifying question, like, if I'm hearing you correctly,
Right.
This gives them the chance to clarify what their actual words are instead of you putting words in their mouth.
Because nothing is going to fuel a fight more than you making assumptions and trying to mind read. So, what's next? Oh,
expressing negative feelings.
Express them constructively. Yes. So there's going to be times when you feel bitterness, when you feel resentment, disappointment, even disapproval. You know, you're going to turn your mom on and just, I can't believe he just did that. Okay, these feelings, they need to be communicated in order for any behavior to change, right? If you don't say something, then nothing is going to change. But how you express those feelings are going to be critical. You know, I am really disappointed that you were working late again tonight is very different from, you obviously don't care about me or none of these kids because you don't ever come home on time and you're always working late. Like that, you're saying pretty much the same thing, but it's the way in which you say it. Use or express your negative feelings in a constructive manner versus accusatory, right?
And this is a good time to throw in those I feel statements. I feel. Yeah, I mean, your feelings are not wrong, and it's okay to express them, but do in a constructive stance.
Yes.
I mean, attacking someone, it's hardly ever going to get the result you want. I mean, you may get temporary compliance just to get them to stop. But
or to shut up. No,
I wasn't going to say that. But, I mean, the real question is, do you want to be angry or do you want results?
Exactly. And we're all about getting results, positive results, right? And a very effective way to ensure that you're going to have a positive result outcome is to listen without being defensive. You know, for any relationship to succeed, both partners have to be able to hear each other's complaints without getting defensive. Now, this is really hard, and it's a lot harder than learning how to express negative feelings effectively, but it's so important.
And you have to realize that your spouse is going to have feelings, and it's not necessarily an attack on you. It's their experience, and to understand what they are, going through. It can help you change your approach.
Right.
I mean, in the end, we want a better outcome. And if mild changes make that happen, why not?
Exactly.
I've always, my grandfather was one that actually told me, he said one of his greatest pieces of advice was say yes as often as you possibly can. That way, the very few times that you say no, your spouse will realize, oh, okay, this must really be important to him. Let's talk this through.
Absolutely. So that falls in line with my very last point, which is freely express positive feelings, right? A lot of people are so quick to express negative feelings that they completely forget to express anything positive. And it's really vital to the health of your relationship that you offer your partner some affirmation, positive feelings like, appreciation, affection, admiration, approval, just warmth. Expressing that to your partner, that's like making deposits into your love bank, right?
I love that term.
Yes, you make deposits into your love bank, and you should make at least 5 positive deposits for every 1 negative deposit. Because if your compliments exceed your complaints, then your spouse is going to pay attention when you do complain and do have grievances. But if your complaints exceed your compliments, then your criticism is going to fall on deaf ears because it's going to sound like the Charlie Brown, wah, 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 wah. And we all know, nobody listens to that.
Not at all. I mean, you and I do it all the time.
Yep.
If we see either one of us kind of going down a negative pathway, we'll do the thing where we stop you and say, hey, name 3 things that you're grateful for.
Yes.
And I wouldn't believe the number of times that we look at each other wanting to just absolutely scream, because the last thing that you want in that moment when you're feeling a little negative is to have to turn around and say it. But the truth is every time that we do it, this is a replacement behavior.
Yeah.
So, we say, focus on that positive, say 3 things, and afterward, you're immediately in a better place.
It's immediate relief. Oh, I love that.
Good techniques.
Great techniques. So for more on those techniques, message us at Actions Transform.
Absolutely.
Yes. All right. So, Medlin, do you know what today is?
It's the end of the month.
It is the end of the month. It's our 12th show, though.
Is it?
It is our 12th. Can you believe?
We've been doing this 3 months already.
3 months have gone by already. That went so fast.
It seems like 5 minutes ago that I was just sitting in this chair thinking I was going to throw up and lose my mind by going on radio for the first time.
All the nerves.
Yeah,
but now
times.
We've warmed up. We've hit our stride. Here we are. So what's been your favorite show so far?
I've had so many, but
you've had 12.
12. The years and years that we've been on air. No, I mean, the last show, I had a lot of fun.
With True Leave?
True Leave, and then we had the
Topher.
And the doggy.
Yes, and Topher and Macy. That was a lot of fun. For me, I think my favorite shows were all of the ones where we featured a nonprofit, because nonprofits have always been really close, near and dear to our hearts. So being able to highlight the good works of those organizations, those always gave me the really good feel-goods.
And that was been our mission and vision from the start, is just to use this radio platform to put good into the world.
Absolutely.
And try to help. So I've been enjoying that.
Speaking of which, what's been your favorite BehaviorSelf?
Our friend John.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
So for those that don't know that episode, our friend John, he was living in the closet. He is gay, and he hadn't come out to his very religious family. But we got an update from John. He has still not come out to his very religious family, but he's been working on developing some really solid support structures outside of his family. So he's making friends, and it's been helpful for him to at least be able to share his story with other people and to feel secure about who he is for the first time in his life. We're still working on him coming out to his family because he's not ready yet.
But everyone's time frame's different.
Everybody's time frame is different.
He's getting everything lined up. So.
Absolutely. And he's happier now on levels that he hasn't experienced before. So as far as we're concerned, that's progress. He's getting comfortable finally being able to live his truth.
Absolutely.
So I really love that. Okay, so we are going to have to take another break here, but I do want to mention I just talked about our nonprofit partners. I want to give an update on some of them. The Angel Foundation of Brandon, who was our very first nonprofit partner back in July, their annual gala, An Evening of Hope, a masquerade ball, is coming up on November 1st, and they're selling tickets now for $75. So you can purchase tickets online at angelfoundation.org. And as always, they're always looking for families who have been affected by a life-threatening illness or a catastrophic event, because they're angel providers. They just want to serve. So reach out to the angelfoundation.org to learn what you can do to be part of the change and to purchase your tickets to their masquerade ball.
That sounds like a lot of fun.
That sounds like a lot of fun. All right. So, I'll do Autism Shifts. Autism Shifts is our current nonprofit partner of the month, and they're hosting a workshop on understanding autism in the workplace. And it's free for businesses and HR professionals who just want to understand the autism diagnosis and the benefits of having neurodiverse employees. So visit autismshifts.org to learn more. But that event is tomorrow at 3:30. So when we come back, we've got an all-new Behavior Self. So don't go anywhere.
Looking to tone, tighten, or enhance your body while still retaining a natural appearance? Then look no further than Dr. Pedro Solar. Dr. Solar uses a customized approach to cosmetic and reconstructive procedures to the face, body, and breast. Call or go online now to receive $500 off any cosmetic surgery. 813-878-9889. That's 813-878-9889. Reclaim your confidence and discover a new you.
Welcome back to the Action Hour. Before the break, I was just talking about our nonprofit partners, and I had mentioned Angel Foundation of Brandon and their annual gala coming up in November.
The masquerade ball.
Yep, we talked about Autism Shifts and their Understanding Autism in the Workplace workshop that's happening tomorrow at 3:30. And now I want to talk about Oldsmar Cares. We can't leave them out.
Absolutely not.
So Oldsmar Cares is having their 10th annual wine and food gala. It's going to be an evening of bling, and tickets are on sale right now at oldsmarcares.org. So visit oldsmarcares.org.
You get to help the community.
You get to help the community.
And you get wine and food.
And who doesn't love wine and food? We'll be there. Yes. I mean, that's a given. All right. So now it's time for our favorite segment. It is Behavior Self, where we take messages from our listeners and provide coaching, right here, right now. So this message from a listener, we actually just got this morning. It's short and it's sweet, and we're excited to help her because this message this morning actually sparked our entire conversation, yes. It seems. Okay, but she says, Michael and Dana, your show is great. You two seem really happy and in love. I've been married for 13 years, and it seems like the fire is gone. Any advice to rekindle the romance? Jenny. I can't hear that
Forrest
name
Gump.
without thinking of Forrest Gump. Jenny. I love it. Anyway, Miss Jenny, I'm going to be honest with you here, girl. Neither of us have ever been married that long successfully.
I made it 13 years.
Not successfully.
Well, up until the day of the divorce.
Right. Okay. So anyway, we can't presume to know what it's going to feel like to experience a lack of fire after 13 years. But what I can tell you is it's always a good idea to start with yourself. Mm-hmm. You know, what is it that you need? What is it you feel like you're lacking? What's missing for you? Make a list. Girl, make a big, long list of everything you need, everything you want, everything you think that's going to make you happy. And then you take that list and you start giving and doing those things to your husband. For example, let's say you feel like you need a date night. Great. Invite your husband out for a date. Maybe you need more physical affection, like holding hands or footsies on the couch. Great. Then reach over and hold your husband's hand or play with his feet on the couch. Here's the thing. I think way too often when we need or want something in a relationship, we make it the responsibility of our partner to provide those things. Mm-hmm. And not only provide those things, women, but we expect them to read our minds and just know what it is that we need and want and then expect them to deliver it. And the reality is it doesn't work that way, right? Even if it seems like it does in the beginning for some reason, that doesn't last. When we shift the responsibilities to ourselves to do the things that we need and want to make ourselves happy, a number of things happen. We end up getting what we want. Holla. Yeah. We end up leading by example, making it easier for our partner to identify the things that we want or desire and need. And the best part is it causes a glorious reciprocity in a relationship, right? That makes it all worth it. So anyway, that's the girl's point of view. What you got for the guys, Medlin?
Well, I mean, some of it's for the guys and some of it's for the couples. But one of the biggest things I would say, you know, if the fire's starting to die, it's more than likely you've gotten comfortable. Mm-hmm. I mean, limit the routines, mix it up. There are certain routines that we get into, especially when we have kids, because it's just survival. I mean, the week is so crazy and routines kind of help us manage it. But the problem is we get into these routines and we do the same things over and over and over again, and then it gets, you know, boring. And there's a comfort in the boring, but there's no fire in the boring, you know? Go out, plan activities and prioritize them. I mean, I have checked the phones. It's one of my favorite things to do. If you're, you know, I'm going to give it away, but if you're in a session with me and you're a couple that's working on your relationship, one of the first things I'll do is check your phone, and I'll see how many things the two of you have actually planned out between the two of you. And I see all the time, you got business stuff and you've got meetings and you got PTA and you have nothing for the two of you. Why is your relationship not a priority? Yeah. If you're going to mix it up, plan and prioritize the things, put it on your calendar. The two of you are worth it. Mm-hmm. Try new things. You know, guys, I know a lot of times the things that women like to do, sometimes we're not as much into it. Give it a shot anyhow. Okay. You may end up finding that there's a little bit of something about it, or at a minimum that you like the fact that she's happier afterward, and then she'll turn around and she will reciprocate.
Reciprocity is a beautiful thing in a relationship, but it starts with you. And
then one of my favorites, bring back the old. Think back when you first got together. You know, if you got together 13 years ago, there were things that you guys liked to do together that you enjoyed, but more than likely that routine, you've gotten rid of the old. Bring it back. You know, you got to grow together. You got to find new things that you like. And so sometimes bring back the old can actually be the new. That was one of the things that we started doing. And
it's working Famously. All right, Miss Janae. I really hope that you found this helpful today, because putting this together for you was really therapeutic for us. So we appreciate your message. And so for more information on performance coaching and behavior modification, and for a complimentary consultation, visit us online at actionstransform.com or reach out to us at info@actionstransform.com. Be sure to like us on Facebook and on Instagram at Actions Transform. And you can catch up on any shows you missed by subscribing to our YouTube channel. Special thanks to our sponsors, Medi Weight Loss. Visit MediWeightLoss.com to learn more about their medically supervised weight loss program. And Dr. Pedro Solar, board-certified cosmetic and reconstructive surgeon. Visit our nonprofit partner of the month, autismshifts.org, to learn what you can do to make a difference today. And if you'd like to feature your business on the Action Hour, email us at info@actionstransform.com. That's our show for today. Hope you enjoyed it as much as we did. Thank you all so much for joining us. I'm Dana Medlin.
And I'm Michael Medlin, reminding you that dreams inspire, but actions transform.